あなたにあげましょうキャンディーうちを言ったよ私の不意あなたにあげましょうリンゴにすむむにハウンズワインガガワ Come on to my house my house come on up Come on to my house my house come on up Come on to my house mga house あなたにあげましょう焼肉ぶどうに夏ミニケーキ Come on to my house my house come on up Come on to my house my house come on
Hi, everyone. This is Amelia Duran, your host in the Porthole to Justice. And I have a special guest that's coming on the show today, Mr. Micheal Gill, who is a resident of New Hampshire, and he has a mortgage company, a successful mortgage company there. He's a good tax-paying citizen, and he's got a pretty amazing story. He is also fighting corruption in the state of New Hampshire, and he's doing what a lot of us should be doing, and that is, following the money and holding these people accountable, elected officials, judges, drug dealers, money laundering, attempted murder. And he's still going strong. They keep putting him through the ringer, and he comes out wearing it like war paint. So stand by. I'm going to get him on the line with us right now.
All right.
Hi, Mike. Okay,
Hello?
We're good. We're all good now. I had a little bit of technical difficulty there, folks, but Mike, thanks for coming on the show today. I just did an amazing intro. I told people a little bit about yourself, that you live there in New Hampshire, you're a good tax-paying citizen, you have an amazing mortgage company, you're also the founder of the State of Corruption.
Yes, stateofcorruption.org. I was also in the horse racing business. I was the world champion in horse racing. I've won more races than anybody's ever lived. So.
That's amazing. I believe it. You have an incredible story. I've had you on the show before, and but it's been like a year. So share with us a little bit about your story, and then we can get more current.
Okay. Well, as you know, I own Mortgage Specialist, and what I did was back in 05-06. I recognized that there was a Ponzi scheme going on in the state. I reported it to the Banking Commission, the AG's office, only for them to cover it up. And then I realized Bill Shaheen, who was Gene Shaheen, the senator, and previously the governor, was involved in the Ponzi scheme. They owned it.
Yeah.
So,
and you've done something very unique. You actually audited and you followed the money. And you're calling these people out, and you're naming them, and you have evidence.
Oh, I have evidence on all of what I found was, and I'm sure people across this country have the same issue. It's not that we don't have evidence. It's who do you give it to? And the people that you do give it to are the people covering it up. So when I saw the cover-up of that, then they started threatening me. And then I found the corruption in family court, only to find out that this network of corruption controls the state. Mm-hmm. It is the public officials. It is controlling the AG's office, who controls all the investigations. What I had to do was, once I realized what happened, I had to also have convince people that it happened. Years ago, like 7-8 years ago, people weren't ready to hear corruption. They didn't believe it. They'd give you the tin hat kind of thing. And as time went on, and let's face it, the last 8 years of a recession, the only booming business turned out to be heroin in our children. So it gets more and more exposed. So what I had to do is then realize it went from the police to the county attorneys to the FBI to the U.S. attorney. And it maintained this cover-up. It is the network that they have built. Remember, this kind of corruption brings in billions. That's why law enforcement doesn't get involved. The drug itself, for instance, in New Hampshire, people wouldn't guess, but we're considered ground zero per capita. The crime rate in our biggest city, Manchester, is higher than Detroit. Because we're a friendly government,
And you've been actually going after the corruption for quite some time, and you had auditors that came in that you were working with on your case, that you hired, and then later found out that they were actually plants.
They were all plants. What happens is this: I turned down $50 million. Now there might be people out there saying, "Well, I can't believe that." Except for I put the offer on the internet multiple times. Fine. Now what I asked you is, what's worth $50 million? Right? There's the truth of it all. So what I did was find out that each agency was covering. So I didn't go after just the drug dealers and the corruption in the state. I went after the cover, and I exposed it, and I put it on video. I showed, for instance, Judge Delker with just how about this? I'm in a hearing with Alex Walker. Alex Walker tried to have me murdered on 3 different occasions, and I have multiple witnesses that proves it. But
and
that's why.
You've documented this on your reality. You have a YouTube reality series called "The State of Corruption," which has a massive following. A lot of people are watching this.
Well, across the country, my last video I'm 2.7 million and climbing. And I'm speaking to people all over, because you know what it is? I'm not telling you it's just New Hampshire. I am telling you for certain it goes on in every state. But what we need is a model of how to win. Uh-huh. We need a victory here. And the size of New Hampshire, being small, made it easier to corrupt, but it also makes it easier to come down. Mm-hmm. So now that I've documented all this corruption, and my last couple videos was going into the United States attorney. They didn't even want to know the courier's name for the drug dealers. Now I'm going to Washington. I'm going to have a meeting with Sessions. I'm going to have a meeting with hopefully Trey Gowdy. And I want to turn, and listen, nothing to do with politics. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm a free-thinking American and a pissed-off father. Uh-huh. That's what I am. They're killing our children, and you know what? I'm not going to watch it ever again.
Yeah.
So what now that I'm doing, see, the thing here is how to beat them. You got to take their cover away. You got to take the judges. You got to take away the political protection. And right now they're getting so desperate, they're making it obvious, which is why they're trying to close down my company, who funds state of corruption. That's why they attached my assets for the person trying to murder me.
You just recently went to Washington, D.C. with this information, and you tried to get in to meet with President Donald Trump. And when you were there, I saw a video. They didn't just freeze your accounts. They froze your company's accounts, and they froze your son's account and your father's accounts. I was
exactly.
I couldn't
This is how desperate they are. So you know what it is? It's a measure of how the damage we're doing. So they've got to make it obvious. It's not all of a sudden they became stupid. What it did become is that we're hurting them so badly. When I went to Washington, no cell phones, different car, made sure I wasn't followed, and they still got us. That's the desperateness on this. Now think about this. When I was in Washington, I talked to one of the heads of the DEA. You know what? He knows what I'm saying is true. They're part of the cover in this. The IRS that I went down there, think about this. I have on recording the Adjutant General of the IRS, Tim Campus, saying he has a mole in my company. See? I mean, so there's 2 agencies in this country that's corrupt to the very top. That's what drugs brought us. That's the cost of corruption. And then people say, how it's done by the states? Each state has certain power brokers. Tend to be the power brokers that are corrupt. In my state, it's Bill Shaheen, who's wife of Senator Shaheen. Mm-hmm. So these elected official comes in here, and they go to these power brokers, and they make deals. And then they become protected. And that's what I found. Right to the top. So in other words, I worked with Trump for over... I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. A lot of these people are protected, and a lot of them are members of the bar. And
yes.
there's no protection for people like you.
The lawyers in this state, the lawyers became the judges, and the lawyers became the politicians. And then one law firm, for instance, in our state, McLean Law Firm, of pretty much the whole AG's department, which covers up every crime in the department. So, for instance, if we can prove that the AG's department is corrupt, you take it all down, because that, again, is the defense. The assistant AG that I caught, his name is Rick Head. I'm not kidding. Dick Head. He's now in California, hiding, because I did catch him. I caught his notes. Now, if we can that's what they'll do. They'll make witnesses disappear. I'm looking for 3 people that we can't find. Alice Cedric, Brian Toomey, and Richard Head. They are the exact witnesses to bring this all down. Mm-hmm. But, so the thing here, so with Trump, when Trump was running his election, how many times throughout this country you hear him reference New Hampshire and drugs? Almost in every speech. And then even in Virginia, he turned around and said the corruption in New Hampshire, they're making a lot of money protecting the drug dealers. He got all that from me. In fact, his term, play for pay, was mine. Uh-huh. But now, all of a sudden, come February, March, the corruption, listen, it included Republicans as many as Democrats. And I'm not playing politics. I mean, it's about justice.
Yeah.
So, and but I will tell you this. Things are starting to change in the last few days. You know what? One thing a politician respects is numbers. Maybe in front of a dollar sign, but also voters. When we say that these videos now are being watched by millions, and I'm working closely with Anonymous, Allegist, these people were combining efforts. There's 36 million followers with Anonymous.
Well, the people,
so we're combining
want to see this investigated. A lot of the people that are following you on your YouTube series, we want to see something happen. And just in the last few days, the Porthole to Justice has ran a pretty amazing meme campaign, and we're naming names, and we're identifying who these individuals are.
You have to do that, and that would have to have a little courage. And that's what they do. They rule in fear. When on Facebook, for years, people were even afraid to comment. How do we live in a free society if we can't even speak our minds? And that if we're taking advantage of, and we have to live on corruption, that we can't speak of it. Mm-hmm. For instance, the drug dealers up here, Aganos, Cruz, and Griner, they own a hospital. They own the treatment centers. And then they have their some of their politicians pass Medicaid expansion to pay them. I mean, this is how obscene it is. And it's the easiest thing to catch.
And I just want to reiterate what you just said for those tuning in. They own the drug treatment centers, and they're also trafficking the drugs there locally in New Hampshire, is what Michael's saying. And you know, we have all of these laws, marijuana laws. We can't, and we have these treatment centers for heroin addicts, but we can't devise something for people that need medicinal marijuana, the children and the adults that yeah, we can't devise
really
something
simple
for them.
Here's how simple that is. You ready? Mm-hmm. They don't make money on marijuana. They make money on addiction. You see, these people that I'm talking about, Aganos owns a hospital. Walker is the lawyer for Manchester Memorial Hospital. The U.S. attorney that I caught corrupt, he's at Dartmouth. These hospitals are making drug addicts. Uh-huh. They're turning around and giving them opioids. These people, this is how insidious this is. 80% of what I found, and the studies that I've read, start with, medication that they're prescribed for injuries from doctors. Whether it's a sprained ankle, and in 7 days, if you read heroin and the opiates, you could be addicted. Mm-hmm. They didn't know this. When I called this out to the hospital, I did a video that you see me dropping evidence off to the DEA. And he wasn't too happy about it. Within 3 days, they had a big story.